There's so much to do these days, but there seems to be so little time to do it in. And this is a modern phenomena and it affects everyone sooner or later. Now, why does modern life sap so much of our time? After all, didn't people work harder years ago? Well, yes and no. In the past, people had more physically demanding jobs for sure, but they worked fixed hours, had less demanding ways of getting there, and when work was over, it was over. There was no way that the boss or clients could reach them at home except by mail, which took some time, or by telegram, which was very expensive. Plus, of course, people tended to live in close communities with friends and family nearby. Leisure time and hobbies were physical and took place at designated times and places. Now, of course, things are very different in our modern world. Nowadays, most people work in sprawling offices, often on flexible contracts and variable hours. Getting there is a stressful hassle, generally by car or outdated, overcrowded public transport. Many of us live in sprawling suburbs far away from friends and family. Lots of us work from home, so when you're at home, you're always at work, and when you're at work, you're always at home. Your boss or clients are only a phone call or an email away, and we're reachable 24/7. Leisure time is as and when you can snatch it, and it's often spent playing video games or watching TV. There's no designated times for anything, so everything gets blurred. And of course, another big problem with our modern lives is that other people set the agenda for us. Now, at work, of course, that's likely to be your boss, or if you run your own business, that's going to be your clients. Also, co-workers or colleagues can also have you at their beck and call, getting you to do things for them and that sort of thing. And of course, if you travel as part of your business, and that means taking things like trains or aeroplanes, then of course you have to fit your work around the timetable as to when the plane or the train is going. So you do have to work around that. So you don't have any say over when you can travel in that respect. And at home, well, there's all sorts of demands and all sorts of people who set the agenda. Your family do, your spouse, of course, or your parents. If you're young and you still live at home, your parents probably still set the agenda just like they did when you were a teenager. Or perhaps you're older and your parents are elderly and there's health issues and other issues that involve them that you've got to deal with as well. And then, of course, if you've got kids, then, of course, their demands are there. You've got to look after them. You've got to bring them up. You've got to take them to school. You've got to take them to all these other things that they do after school, hobbies, clubs, that sort of thing. So that can be very demanding and can take up lots of your time. And then, of course, there's all the jobs that need doing around the house. You've got to do the housework, the vacuuming and the washing and the laundry and all the other sort of stuff. And if you live in a house with a garden, then you've got to mow the lawn and you've got to weed the flower beds, and eventually it'll need painting and all this all sort of stuff. So all the time you find that your time is being spoken for. And because there are so many demands on your time, this tends to lead to a poor work-life balance, especially if there's more demands of your work time than there is on your lifetime. And there never seems to be enough time to get everything done. And because of this, your work suffers because you can't do all the work, and your home life suffers, and that can lead to things like poor health, marriage breakdowns, etc., 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 because it's all really stressful. And this often leads to feelings of being overwhelmed. It feels like you never have anything accomplished. And you often don't do anything at all in response to being proactive in your work or in finishing tasks. So, nothing ever gets accomplished because nothing ever gets done, because you just feel completely overwhelmed, weighted down by all this stuff that you've got to do, and there's so little time to do it in. And this overwhelming feeling can also lead to anxiety and the propensity to make big, expensive mistakes. It's commonly known that when you're tired or when you're overwhelmed, the capacity and possibility of making mistakes increases. And of course, this adds even more to the feeling of being overwhelmed and feeling underaccomplished. And of course, this is cyclic and can cause a negative spiral effect in both business and in life, because one thing doesn't get done, it causes another thing not to get done, and the process can continue over and over and over and over and can cause even more problems. Well, it's time to break the cycle, because when you manage your time effectively, you get more done, you have more time off, and you generally live a more fulfilled life.